Hey, ladies and gents, this is your also known as Brandon Planet, and we are back here with a game called The Drowned Island. It is a Lovecraftian horror type of story, I guess you can say. It is a 1.0, so it seems to be in early access. I found it on itch.io, and we're gonna get right into it. This should be interesting. Let's go ahead and take a look at the preferences. Before we started the video, I did turn on the music and the sound a little bit because they were super loud. Super loud. Alright, let's
The
get...
journey from Scrabster to there was one of the worst, if not the worst journey I'd ever made.
Okay, the journey from Scrabster was one of the worst, if not the worst, I had ever made. I don't know if you guys can hear that. That is very light. Very light even with the... with that increased...
Unpleasant people, foul weather, and an unruly sea that just would not be at rest.
I think you guys actually can. So, we are good there. Yeah, unpleasant people follow weather. And an unruly sea would not be at rest. Now, I'm wondering if the voice acting is going to be throughout the whole game. I don't know. We'll see.
Indeed, it was as if the very world beckoned me not to put my foot on that accursed rock in the North Sea.
Hmm.
And yet I went there, despite my better knowledge.
Really glad I turned down the sound effects outside of the volume, just plain because of the fact that you can hear this, but you can hear behind, you could hear the waves still crashing.
A century ago, it was said that the island simply rose up from the immeasurable depths below. And on the very same day that the islanders celebrated 100 years of independence and isolation, I arrived.
So let me get this straight. They had been isolated for 100 years, and then you randomly decided to be able to show up and break that isolation. Yeah, this is going to be good.
It was almost as if fate had predicted it.
Or you're all about yourself. Okay. Fade out. Fade to black. Is this a complete story type thing, or is there gameplay involved in it? I don't know. Oh, I like that. Not all voice acted. Okay. I received a rude awakening as the fishing boat made port at a forlorn bridge with an audible thump. It seemed to be the place where people went to go if they had no desire to be found for the rest of their lives. Well, they had kept themselves in isolation for 100 years. Makes sense. Like, the Scottish fisherman who had reluctantly agreed to ferry me across from the mainland gave me a dour look with one sunken eye. We have arrived at Drektayalad. I surveyed my surroundings. The port was little more than a rickety bridge and a couple of abandoned shacks. Steep cliffs loomed over me like giants from some dark children's fairy tale. I love the literature aspects that are definitely in this, because they definitely did some studying up on Lovecraftian lore with how the narrator is telling the story. Heavy waves crashed against the rocky shores and the skerries out in deeper waters. Skerries, I don't know. To think that there were people calling Drektaya their home was beyond my misunderstanding. Or understanding. Maybe I misunderstood understanding. Yeah, we're gonna act like I didn't just do that. This is it? I asked. It looks barely inhabited. This is it, the fisherman confirmed. This is where I will leave you, lad. Drektaya is no peace for an old beach washer like myself. Beach washer? I reflected. Once my business here is concluded, how will I be able to return? The fisherman shrugged. Ain't really my business, lad. If it were up to me, I would not set sail within 100 miles of this wretched place. But you seemed to be on an urgent matter, so I took you here. What of the locals, I asked. Is there anyone on the island who would take me back to Scrabster? So Scrabster, I'm assuming from how he said they were Scottish, is in Scotland? Maybe? The fisherman shifted with discomfort and gazed around anxiously, almost as he worried someone might be eavesdropping. Failed to see how, and for what reason. This place was derelict. Not even the seagulls desired to land. "You should not stay here for too long, lad," he said. "Bad place." It was not the answer I'd been hoping for, but I reckon that I'd been taking enough of his time. As for his fear of the island, I could only assume that it stemmed from some sort of Scottish superstition or folklore. I tipped the brim of my hat in a respectful farewell to the fisherman as he readied his boat to leave for sea once more. From here on forward, I could only pray that one of the islanders had a boat that would be able to take me back to Scrabster once my errand has concluded. Okay, so there is a little bit of, like, one of the poles have plenty of notches on it, as if systematically carved with a knife. How peculiar. Okay, so it's basically a point-and-click choose-your-adventure, I guess? Maybe it's just a story told? Oh. As expected, the village by the port was composed of a few buildings in a state of near collapse. Well, I mean, they had been isolated for 100 years, man. The shacks seemed to be abandoned, or at very least, they gave the impression of being so. Small shacks and crofts constructed from rotting wood and rocks from the stony shores spoke lengths of their decrepit state. Never before had I felt so alone in the universe. Oh, you want me to go into the shacks? That's fantastic. That is so nice. So nice. As I knocked on one of the doors, it became apparent that this island was indeed inhabited. Oh. A tall figure in a raincoat appeared before me, his face shrouded by shadows. Judging by his posture and wrapped up hands and neck, he seemed to be suffering from some sort of malignant deformity. 100 years. Isolation. If they're having kids, they're probably having them with each other. "Who goes there?" he asked in a cold, hissing voice reminiscent to that of ice breaking. I like how they termed him as Mishappen Fisherman. "I'm just a traveling author. I'm an investigator from the Iverness." Oh my god. Like, they hit you with this truth or lie thing from the beginning, huh? I'm assuming that there's multiple endings because of this. We're gonna go the truthful route on this. Because I guess I need to. "I'm an investigator from the Iverness," I said truthfully. "May I ask you a few questions?" The Mishapen Islander suspiciously observed me with bloodshot eyes for a moment. The islanders of Drektaya certainly seem to be wary of strangers. "You may, Manlander. Step inside." I respectfully tipped my hat as I entered the islander's cottage. I did not know whether it had been wise of me to be so honest with this man. This is a wood stove right here. It's just a much different design from what we're seeing in, like, camping videos and stuff like that, but that is ventilation from a wood stove. That is interesting. I wonder if okay. A disappearance had occurred on Drektaya, and Drektaya did not exactly have a lot of people, limiting the list of potential suspects if a crime had been committed. As my eyes adjusted to the dim light from the one window inside the dark cabin, I slowly became aware of my surroundings. My question is, you're an investigator from the Iverness. These people have been isolated for a century, 100 years. How did you get the news that someone went missing to the mainland? If no one will approach, because clearly they do not have telephones here. Like, they do not have telephones, they do not have walkie-talkie. Like, it's interestingly weird. Inside there was a hearth, a couple of shelves, a table with a bench, and at far back, a door with iron fittings. There's a faint stench of fish and moldy bread in the damp air. An investigator from the Iverness, eh? He wheezed in a tone that almost sounded mocking in nature. What would bring the law to Drekchaya? We are but a simple folk. It is concerning the disappearance of one Edward Kerwin. I explained. He was supposed to have been picked up by Her Majesty's Coast Guard a month ago, but he never appeared on the bridge. So, from what it seems like, is they had a soldier from the Army or Navy or whatever, or the Coast Guard, excuse me, Majesty's Coast Guard. They had a soldier there, and they never returned. So naturally, you come out there solo as the one Outlander and hope for the best. Would you not come with multiple people? The Islander snorted. Mr. Kerwin, he is our wiki, that much for sure. He has not been tending much to the lighthouse as of late, though. Interesting, I murmured. Is there anything you can tell me about Mr. Kerwin? Miss Havenmain shrugged. He is a mainlander, like yourself, a good man, does not make too much noise and does not ask questions. The last statement was aimed at me. These islanders did not have much affection for people from the mainland. 100 years, dude. You know, if there was anything odd about his behavior as of late, anything that might explain him vanishing mysteriously? The islander shook his head in denial. Hardly spoke to the fellow, he wheezed. Only knew him from the first impressions, but what I could tell is he did not seem like a bad sort. So there are no reasons to suspect that foul play might have been played a part in his disappearance. The misshapen man's eyes turned hard and cold. I never said that. But if you're implying that we who live here on Drekchaya had anything to do with it, you would be wise to reconsider. So, there's something else out there. We are hard-working and honest folk, and we wish to be left alone. Pardon me, I said. It was not my intention to accuse the islanders of anything. But anything you might tell me would be of tremendous help if there has been a crime committed. He snorted again. You could go up to the lighthouse and see for yourself, mainlander. To my surprise, the misshapen man approached one of his shelves in the cabin and produced a small key from behind a clay platter. I acquired the lighthouse spare key. So we just magically go to the place where the spare key is. I've never bothered with the lighthouse myself. Then why do you have a spare key? The islander said, but I am one of the few on the island who possess a spare key. Good for emergencies. You've never investigated the lighthouse after Mr. Kerwin disappeared? I inquired curiously. Wow. I'm really doing good today. The islander frowned. It is not any of my darn business where the wiki decides to run off to, but I can tell you that none of us islanders would know anything about it. With that said, the misshapen man began to move towards the door at the back of the cabin. I need to look after me old sweetheart now. I hope you find whatever you're looking for, mainlander. I nodded in appreciation and watched as he slipped through the darkness behind the door, locking it behind him. While a key to the lighthouse was certainly helpful, it would not help but to feel as if there were more to Corwin's disappearance than the islander let on. Before leaving here, there was certainly the opportunity to do some investigation of my own. Oh! On the shelf, there was a few books gathering dust. They seemed quite old, and a primary topic seemed to conserve navigation and sea life. Nothing of interest. A note tucked behind the books reads as following. Drowner's Point, midnight. Do not forget. Okay. Lingering scent of fish and charcoal stemmed from the hearth. Nothing of any particular interest. A couple of clay platters on display. They appeared to be homemade. Nothing of interest. So they want me to... There appeared to be nothing on the other side of the iron-fitted door as far as I could see. Then again, it was incredibly dark. Yet somehow I sensed there was something stirring on the other side. What? What was that? I need to get out of here. It was eyes. What was that thing? What? I don't understand. I feel ill. Just what is going on this island? Alright, so now we no longer go to their houses. You've reached the end of the No! Oh, I was just getting into that. I'm going to have to bookmark this one because I do like these storyline ones, and honestly, that was really, really cool. Alright, well, if you guys enjoyed where this was going, really, really short, mind you, I will leave a link down in the description in the pinned comment below. You guys can try it out for yourself and hopefully experience it as it does progress as well, which is something I'll be looking into. If they ever release this game fully, you will see it again on the channel in the full release state. Alright. If you guys would like to see me over on Twitch, it's twitch.tv/randomplanet. We play a lot of horror-based variety, Project Zomboid, 7 Days to Die, stuff like that over there. And then I'm also going to be instituting an indie night where we go through indie horror games over there as well. Tuesday through Saturday, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. So if you guys would like to be able to check me out over there, that is a good place to be able to do it. But as always, let the spooks be with you, and during these tough times, please remember you, your friends, your family, and your loved ones. Please stay safe out there. We will see you guys again in the next Random Scary Games video. Bye-bye for now.